for the beginning of the year, we decided that we can make something special and like jump out of our routine and our always like talks and maybe serious stuff. And then we had this great opportunity to host Drukmo with us today and listen something from another, totally I think another world, from Tibet, from another culture. It's very great and inspiring. So I will welcome, today we'll have also special kind of event. It's not only talk, it will be music, it will be singing and talking, so everything together. So I hope you will enjoy it, and please welcome Drukmo Gyal, yes, I remember. Joseph Kirwitz is musician, and you come there or here, or how you do it? And Tavi Pettersson, please welcome and enjoy the morning.
Good morning, tere hommikust. I saw everybody having coffee, and I'm having my whiskey with tea leaves. So, guests from far away. It's a traditional folk Tibetan song that we often sing with the tea in our hand, milk tea, bima te, and welcoming the guests who we see for the first time. Oh, we don't need translation, yeah? Okay, good. I got used to this translation session, so each time I stop speaking, I look for translation. Good. So the lyric says, guests from far away, please visit our snowland. We will be waiting for you with delicious milk tea or delicious coffee in Tallinn. And we will be waiting for you with our pure heart. So please come to witness the beauty of snow-capped mountains, grassland, endlessly with animals of different kinds. So it's a way of connecting with nature, and I think that is also one of the strongest roots we have as human. You have forests here for Estonians, and for those who have come from different parts of the planet, then I'm sure you have your form of connecting with the root in a nature form. imagine you're in the nature, surrounded by mountains, trees, river. You're standing in front of the ocean. All the elements in our body and the elements in the nature are communicating with each other through the skin pores. Each time we breathe in, breathe out. You can continue to visualize your in the nature. You can keep your eyes open or closed as you like. And according to Tibetan medicine, our body is made of the 5 elements. We have space element, rumi. We have wind, fire, water, and earth elements. And all these elements are available in the nature. And each time we breathe in, we are communicating with the elements in the nature. And not only our nostrils, but our mouth, our ears, our eyes, our genital organs, and our anus, all the 9 orifices are making the communication to make the cohesion in between the elements in the nature and inside us. So whenever we feel incomplete or feel lost or feel not connected, then nature connection by walking there, sitting there, hearing their sounds, seeing their colors, smelling. All these sensations will bring us to the process of healing. So this is the mantra of 5 elements. Om Ahong, please repeat after me. Om Ahong, E Yam Kam Ram Lam. 5 elements. Shude A means purify. Visualize that all the nature elements are coming to our body in the form of light, like sunlight, moonlight, starlights. And touch your heart. Our hearts are connected with space element. And when we sing together, Eho Shude Shude, just visualize all the emotions and traumas you have accumulated in the heart and diseases that you have in the heart. All of them are being transformed in the sunlight and moonlight. Eho Shude Shude. Eho Shude Shude. Repeat after me. Eho Shude Shude. Eho Shude Shude. Eho Shude Shude. Don't be shy, you can sing louder. Eho Shude Shude. 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 If our mind can create emotions, if our mind can create traumas, then our mind can also create the transformation of all these negativities into light. The nature of mind is in such power. It can be so creative. You can create stress, you can create bipolar, you can create depression. You can also create balance. You can create connection with nature. You can create light. Eho Shude Shude. Eho Shude Shude. Eho Shude Shude. Eho Shude Shude. Touch your lungs. Your lungs are connected with the wind element. All of your stress, sadness, anxiety, or lungs infection, flu, cold. As we sing Yam Ho Shude Shude, may all of them be transformed into this sunlight and moonlight. Yam Ho Shude Shude. 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 Touch your kidneys. Your kidneys, you don't touch them very often. So they're working very hard for you, silently, they never complain. Sometimes they complain with back pain. And sometimes they complain silently. Once they complain very strongly, then it's usually very aggressively. And all of our fear is accumulated in our kidneys. And may all the fear and kidney disorders be transformed into this sunlight and moonlight as we sing Kam Ho Shude Shude. Kam Ho Shude Shude, 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 Kam Ho Shude Shude. Touch our liver. Our liver is on the right side of our body trunk. It's connected with the fire element. All of our anger, hatred, or anger and hatred created by traumas we experience in our lives are accumulated here. We become frustrated. We're always on fire, and this burns us, burns our connection with others, burns our body. And may all of those negativities transform into the sunlight and moonlight as we sing Ram Ho Shude Shude. Ram Ho Shude Shude, 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 Ram Ho Shude Shude. Touch our spleen. Spleen is next to our stomach. Burn in Estonian. And it's connected with the earth element. And when we get impatient, angry, especially when we are hungry, then this is the organ that is complaining. So that's why when we eat something delicious, heavy, and then our burn is happy, then we feel like, oh, pacified, because the earth element pacifies our organ. So may all the diseases and stress we accumulate in the spleen be pacified and transformed into this sunlight and moonlight as we sing Lam Ho Shude Shude. Lam Ho Shude Shude, 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 Lam Ho Shude Shude. Thank you. Josep Gurvitz, yeah, and Tavi Peterson. We have been we have been playing together for 4 years. So It's very healing for me to have them by my side and share these mantras. And our purpose is very clear, and that we share this ability to self-heal. And there are always many tools, yeah, many different methods we can use to self-heal. And yesterday we had a concert, so I was joking. I said, all the family doctors in Estonia, each one of them have more than 2,000 patients. So that means it's better we know some self-healing. Otherwise, the list is so long. I don't know when you can get your appointment efficiently, or when you need it like. Urgently. So some home therapy, some mind-based healing therapy we should require to live in this complex world. Here's a picture of Mount Kailash. I don't know if you know of the existence of Mount Kailash. It's a very sacred mountain in the border of Tibet and Nepal, India. Yeah, so it's a very important mountain for Buddhism, Hinduism. So many people would go there to pay homage, and it's like hiking. You know, if you see it in a modern context, it's like connecting to nature, hiking. But then to spiritual level, then it's like different religions believe that if you walk around this Kailash mountain, it's 52 kilometers, takes around 2 to 3 days. So if you walk around, then it can purify your negative actions of the past. I don't know how relative and how truth that is for everybody, but for those who have that belief, then all actions are belief driven. So that means for them it is true. But if you don't believe in that, then it's probably an idea, creative idea for you. So the reason why I show this is because this is the origin of all mantras. So mantras in general are from this region, and I will talk about a few interesting terminologies about Buddhism in the West. So I explain that later. And I show a few more pictures of Tibetan nature for you to get an idea what I was singing. Many families live on such grasslands in tents. So the mountains are always with snows. Nowadays, because of the global warming, the snows are melting a bit, and Tibet is getting a bit warmer. But many people live in these little tents. So these are basically their home, but movable. So it's very ecological. So they basically look for the drinkable rivers and valleys, kind of like few mountains, so that not a strong wind will hit. So they look for these locations to settle for one season or 2 seasons, and then they shift. Always Tibetan nomads are very good at nomading. So it's like, now we have IT nomads, yeah? IT nomads, like modern nomads, like a lot of people travel for work, and some people travel on internet, so it's like internet nomads. Some people travel physically, traveling a lot, so that's like modern traveler nomads. So in Tibetan nature culture, then it's very much the nomad moving, shifting is very much practiced. So the mind, the kind of mindset they have is also such way. They don't have these these very rigid and very fixed ideas. Everything is changeable, everything is transforming, and very impromptu, yeah. So it's like startups, you know, you always have to keep that kind of mindset. But their context is to deal with nature. Your context is to deal with ideas and bring them to life, yeah. And so we talk about roots. Because the one of the theme of here is roots, yeah. So if I talk about root, then root is kind of nature and belief. So we shared the music to more introduce you about nature perspective, and I'm sure you have what the kind of nature that nurtured you. And really, the more you connect with the nature and the nature food that nurtured you as a child, will bring that inner peace and will bring that self-connection, connect with self much easier than any other solutions. So you can try that. With the different sources. You're very creative, so you can think of the ways how to connect with nature. And I think it is an urgent subject of our generation, because the whole world is talking about climate change and protecting it. So also for all of us to create ideas, we should consider that element inside, because we do need nature for, it's not like nature need us, we need nature. So we have to be clear on that perspective. And the belief is very diverse. Now everybody has their beliefs, and there's no duality on that, like, oh, good belief, bad belief, la 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 la, religious belief, non-religious belief. In front of health, there is no duality. Like I don't know if you know about medicine Buddha, you know, this blue Buddha. So medicine Buddha in Tibetan Buddhism said that in everybody's looking for happiness. Some look happiness through materialism. Some look for happiness through spirituality. But anyway, whichever way you choose, the base is good health and happy mind. So for that reason, we all have to be concerned about what kind of belief can bring us that happy mind and healthy body. Yeah. So I talk about the root of Tibetan Buddhism because most Tibetans or many Tibetan Buddhists in the West, all around the world, they are practicing Buddhism because of its root idea. And the root idea is such way. This is a very, very famous prayer that every Buddhist have to learn if they go serious. And they really have to think this way. So you think, and you really truly wish from deep, deep inside of your mind. You say, may all beings, may all humanity, animals, visible, invisible beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. And may they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And may they never be separated from the supreme joy that is beyond all sufferings. And may they abide in equanimity, stay in equanimity, equality. Yeah, we talk about a lot of gender equality, this equality, that equality. So it's also talking about equality. But equality based on the previous three ideas. You equally, not what you get, but what you give. You equally give your love, compassion, and joy. So we abide in, may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and sorrow. So this is basically the root of Tibetan Buddhism. And all Tibetan Buddhists are practicing to achieve this mentally, physically, but not everybody succeed all the time. Yeah, so we fail, we practice, we fail, we practice. Like startups, you have idea, you fail, you practice, you fail, you practice. So same idea. So this is a prayer. We also sing. So we will perform it, and you can think of the meaning while we perform. Joa samchen tamchen diwatam divi judan dembar cherchu joa samchen tamchen Dunge dang, dunge ji ju dan jewer, churchi, joa sam chen, tam chen, dunge me pi. Diwata mi dewer churchu Joa samchen Thank you. So talking about belief, I just show a few pictures. Visually, you understand. Then in Tibet, we have many monasteries, yeah, monasteries and nunneries. But they were actually the former idea of university. It's like Western, you have universities, yeah, where you study academically. So in Tibet, the first form of university, like a school, is actually monastery. So they kind of like did it in different styles. So one style is you can stay home, have family, but you can still go to the small monasteries to do rituals, study about how to do rituals, how to connect with the nature spirits. So those are the curriculums. Those are what they learn. So they learn mantras, they learn how to drum, they learn also how to chant different prayers so that they can use those prayers to talk or to connect with nature spirits. Then there's also another style for monks and nuns. So those are like more totally coming out from family. So they do not have families, children. They don't get married. They spend all in their entire life to just study academically and then save their academic work or research for the future generations, for the preservation of why people should practice compassion, how does mind work, and the mind activities studies. Yeah, so it's like scientific research, but modern scientific research and Buddhist research have different measurements. The standards are different, so the outcome is also explained in different ways. Then nowadays it's having some bridge to there are many famous lamas are doing the bridge to connect these two fields, and there are more scientific research or personal research results coming to prove many connections. So these are the two kinds of ways to practice Buddhism in our community. One is you can have families. So I come from a family that my grandpa, so the one on the side, the one in red color, red shirt, red vet with the big rasta is my grandpa. You will see him later. So, for example, he is a yogi, we call Tibetan yogi, and not different from Indian yogi. So I will explain why later. So he is a Buddhist practitioner, but he can have families. That's why I'm here. Otherwise, it's a disaster. Joking. So he's the type of practitioner that can have family and combines Buddhist practices with everyday life. And then the other kind is monks and nuns. So they do not have families. They renounce from family activities. So they just stay in remote areas or stay in monasteries and practice whole life. And they leave their academic results. Yeah. So in Tibet there are many places in the nature. You will see like these statues, so that people around can go there to pay homage. So these statues are kind of like they're in human form. For example, this statue is the statue of Green Tara. Green Tara is the most famous female Buddha in Tibetan Buddhism. and she's like the female liberator, very important female Buddha image. And then people pray for her to get positive actions, positive activities, and also to protect women and children. So these statues and images are coming in the human form, but most importantly is not their statue and human form. It's the gathering of energy. It's the gathering of everybody's wish. If everybody goes and sees this image, this statue, and they think of, oh, may all the babies and mothers be protected, then that thought is an energy, and that thought will stay with the statue or the image. So whoever sees that image and statue will also get the same idea. So through verbally, maybe somebody tell them, oh, this is the Buddha of protecting babies and mothers, verbally. Or some people are very energetically very sensitive, so without language they can already feel the connection, that, oh, this gives like protection for women and children. So such way, this is the most important part. And so in many of these places in the nature, you will see also this part. So this is like they just put a rock, pile a rock up, and then people can go there to burn dried juniper branches with kama. You have Estonian kama, yeah, barley, yeah, but kama without sugar, okay? You can add sugar too. We add some sugar too. So like you can bring kama. So juniper seeds, kama, and some fruits, and you burn that because the smell is very good. So it's juniper smell is antibacterial. So we use this in the traditional way to connect. It's kind of like an offering for the nature spirits. If you believe in the existence of nature spirits, then it's offering to them. If you don't believe, then you believe in the elements. Yeah, the natures they need purifying, so they're kind of purifying the bacteria in the nature. So such way. Yeah, and then these are monasteries. This is one of the most famous monastery in Tibet, called Yachin Gompa, and more than 20,000. More than 20,000, 25,000 people are doing practices here. They are famous for female practitioners. There are oh, not that one. Okay, so there are about 15,000 female practitioners living together, all in little huts and little rooms, and they practice for world peace. They pray for world peace. They pray for harmony, and practice to protect the environment, such ways. And it has been there for almost 40 plus years, and it's a very, very strong community. So when I went there, I was very touched, yeah, very touched, and very influenced, because I think if this much people can put aside their personal needs and just pray for world peace and delivering their life with as little pollution to the environment as possible, and with as little negative influence to others as possible. It's a beautiful community and existence. So I think the idea of that is worth promoting, and we should also consider that very much. And if you know, the Tibetan Buddhism, before Tibetan Buddhism came to Tibet, we had our own original religion called Mbon. So Mbon is very much connected with connecting with nature, and all their methods, if we look spiritually, they look very shamanic. But if you look deep in the meaning, they are actually a series of environmental protection lessons. So they use the existence of spirits and you can say fantasy, like folklore stories. They fantasy the existence of energy, like spirits in the nature, and through that they see like a third party. So through that humanized third party, it's easy for you to respect. So there's a lot of rituals and prayers talking to the spirits, but those spirits are actually the nature itself and the connection between nature and human. Because the nature we can see, human we can see, but the connection is invisible. So that connection is kind of like humanized into these spirits and so on. Then Bon religion talks a lot about environmental protection. Then, some interesting terminologies about Tibetan Buddhism in the West. What is Tantra? Melis was telling me last night, he says, everybody knows about Tantra, but nobody probably knows what it actually means, because in the West, Tantra is polished as part of sex or directly equal to sex, sexual practice. But this is really out of my imagination. When I first came to the West about 5-6 years ago, I was like, oh, okay. How can you even equal or connect Tantra to sexuality? So, what is Tantra? Tantra is, in Tibetan, we call it a jupa. So jupa means, in Tibetan, jupa means lineage, generation. Your genes, your DNAs from one generation to another generation. So that's jupa. So basically, it's what you do in your life saves in your gene, and that gene goes to the next generation. So it's not only about sexuality; it's part of it, but very small part of it. And then tan in Sanskrit means body. Tra is protection. So it's body protection, tantra. So it's really not just only about sexuality. And then what is mantra? Then man is mind. Tra, again, protection. So it's mind protection. Because according to Buddhism and Tibetan medicine, we believe that our human being, our being exists in three parts: body, speech, and mind. But then body and mind, when they're in consistency, when they're working well in balance, then we're happy, healthy. But when they start to have inconsistency, then that's the time when we get imbalanced. What do you think you can't do? What do you do your mind doesn't like? And then you get a mess. So how to kind of like balance that mess is the middle part, the speech. So speech is connected with sound, and sound is connected with the mantra, because it's using the sound to balance. And then in Tibetan context, when we talk about energy, energy is not something flowing in the air. It's very concrete, actually. First level, whenever you hear energy in the Tibetan Buddhism or Tibetan medicine perspective, it means breathing. Very concrete. It means you're breathing. How you're breathing. When you are angry, how do you breathe? When you're stressed, how do you breathe? When you're concentrated, how do you breathe? When you're relaxed, how do you breathe? Our breathing is very, very unique. So the practitioners, the Buddhist practitioners, they developed many breathing practices, breathing exercises to utilize our energy, so the breathing, to balance our mind and body. So that's what it means. Yeah. So mantra is one of it. So we combine the breathing and singing. Some people like to sing, they sing, so it helps them to concentrate. Some people don't like to sing, then they breathe. Then they keep silence, because silence is also mantra. Silence is the most powerful mantra. Yeah, it's not only sound. Yeah, silence is the most powerful sound. Then that's my grandpa and me. Early this, I think was this summer, this September, last September. Yeah. So he is a home practitioner. We call him ngakpa. So if you see this word ngak means mantra in Tibetan. So in Tibetan context, when we talk about Tibetan yogi, it's not with physical yoga, but mantra reciter. So ngakpa means like a mantra reciter. So ngakma means female mantra practitioner. So my grandpa is a mantra practitioner. Then he practices Buddhism at home, and he does retreats. And retreat is coming soon. The concept is coming soon. So he does isolated, solitary staying in a small space, and he stays there to do his prayer, do breathing exercises, so that his five elements and the nature five element are cohesive, and it's consistency. So for that reason, he has special abilities. For example, when I was young, if I have skin problems, then my mom will take me to him. Then he will do his chantings, rituals, and he will blow onto me mantra water. Then within 2 days, my skin problems will be gone. So I thought everybody's grandpa was like that. Yeah. Uh, of course, as a kid, you never think about differences. You think, okay, everybody's grandpa is like that. But when I grew up, then I realized, oh, not everybody's grandpa is like that. Then I understood, okay, there are some features of like coming from a religious family, like a spiritual family. So, what is meditation? Meditation is in Tibetan is called a gom, and then gom comes from a verb called kom. So kom means actually habit. So we make many things as habit, and those habits becomes habituation. So it's a form of meditation. But then what Buddhism is promoting as meditation is to get rid of the habits that harms you and harms others. So that's basically what meditation means if you put in a very easy context. You get rid of habits, yeah, that harm yourself and harm others. And you have to first look for those habits and identify them, accept them, and then you work with them. So if you want to hear more about how this is done, you can check my TEDx talk, and I explained much more detailed there. So this is the place where people stay as community and do retreats. Do retreats. So what is retreat? So retreat in Tibetan is called tsam. So tsam means to pause or to stop. So it's very clear. A retreat is an English word, so it's like retreat, yeah. But if we look from the Tibetan direct translation, then it means to pause, to stop. It means, like, say you have very strong habits, and these habits are making you imbalanced. You're not happy. You're not healthy. Then it's difficult for you to balance while having that lifestyle. while having those ideas. Then what you do is you actively pause yourself from that loop, from that habit you're practicing every day. That becomes, in the modern text, many people go for trips, go for short trips, vacation. Then that's like, I consider that like retreat, Cham, because you're stopping from what you do and you try to relax or find something else to stimulate yourself. Then also some people, if the stress level is too much, they burn out, then they quit the job and then they go retreat. They go like totally out to look for another possibility. But in the Tibetan Buddhist perspective, when we talk about Cham, is not only that level. That is like a primary level. Then what is the essence of like real Cham is that you can do your pause, you can stop, but you are not going to substitute substitute the activities you do, so that it's like you are busy in your work, you have this busy habit, you cannot slow down, and you go on a vacation, you're again busy. You're again busy with something else. It's just something else. It keeps you creative, keeps you more fresh. You have that freshness stimulation. So it's okay. You get some temporal energy. You can do something. But your actual trigger for you to burn out, the trigger for you to be unhappy and not balanced, is still not issued. Like you're not dealing with your root issue. How can you modify your speed? How can you modify your way of dealing your everyday life? This is not dealt. So Cham is, in a deeper level, is dealing with those core points. So that's very essential. Then we have a Chutsam, which means a spiritual retreat. So people go to do retreat, like spiritual retreats. They chant, drumming, they do lots of yogas and such way. And in the mountains, in the caves, in the little huts or rooms, so different places. For if I explain that in the modern context, it's like a psychotherapy. It's like a auto psychotherapy. So you are treating yourself, self-healing, and you cut yourself from all the possibilities of connecting, so that you cannot have the busy time. You don't have Facebook, you don't have all the social medias, you don't have your phone. So you're left there all alone. Who you can meet? Yourself. There's no way to escape yourself in that moment, because you have nothing to be busy of. And in that moment, you will get very strong frustration, you will get very panic, you will get very bored, and this, that, la 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 la. And you just have to go on that, or go on with that, if you want to really, really see what is inside. Otherwise, if you don't go over that, then again, you get busy and you never go to your core. You never understand your habits, your real habits. The habits we understand in everyday life is really superficial habits that we understand. There are many deeper psychological habits we need to look. And of course, in the West, we have psychiatrists and psychologists to help us. But you are the one who knows yourself the best. So some psychologists can help, assist, but at the end of the day, you are the one who is dealing with yourself. So really, that is the Chutsam. And then we have a Huetsam. So it's like a book retreat. Many monks, they do this kind of retreat a lot. They just take their studies and they do book retreats. And I think it's quite common in the West, before you have your exams and going to university, then you have Huitsam, you have this outdoor study, academic kind of retreat. So that's called a retreat. So talking about all those concepts. Those are interest terminologies, and we also talked about the root of Buddhism, that we wish all the sentient beings to have happiness, joy, compassion, and equanimity. Then this is the conclusion of those four qualities, the four immeasurable qualities, and it's the mantra of compassion, Om Mani Padme Hum. Do you know this mantra? Okay, few people. Okay, so Om Mani Padme Hum is the mantra of compassion, and in 7th century, one of our Tibetan kings introduced this mantra from India when Buddhism was first coming to Tibet. Then he started promoting that this is the mantra of compassion, and this mantra from the energy level can help you to extend your capacity to love. Then it became one of the most well-known practice in Tibet. All the babies, all the Tibetan babies, when they can talk, they will be taught this mantra. They will be singing this mantra, and many people, even though we live very modern life, but we will always do this mantra as a daily practice. Many people practice this mantra. The main aim is number one, extend loving compassion. Number two, it is a mantra that we pray for the people who are sick and dying. So the process of death, we do this mantra a lot. And after death, we also do this mantra for the person who passed away. In Tibetan Buddhism, we claim that this mantra can help the person who passed away to have a better rebirth. But in psychological way, if we think, this is a anti-trauma mantra, because often death is unpredictable. We don't know when it takes place, especially to people who we really, really care. And if that happens, what if we didn't do or say or connect with that person the way we wanted? Then we have regrets, and we have certain emotions, and those emotions becomes the base for trauma. Then in Tibet, when very close people pass, then they use this mantra to they recite 100,000 times of this mantra. So really, during the time of sadness, they don't really have the time to dedicate to sadness. They're motivated because they believe this mantra can help the deceased person. So instead of just remorse, cry, and that, they dedicate all their time to recite this mantra. So meanwhile, psychologically, neurologically, it's much better practice for the mind. It's much it's healthier practice for the neurons, so that you're not practicing sadness for a long time. Many people practice sadness and remorse for during that time, few months to a few years, and then that can really affect our physical level of the brain, hormones and all those, and then it becomes a clinical level of mental diseases. But if we replace those sadness and emotions with mantras or other medias, then it gives ourselves the gap or the gap to self-heal. To self-heal, because when the sadness goes on much longer time, then you have more time to heal yourself. It's much easier to heal. Yeah. So we will sing this mantra, and if you feel comfortable, you can join us. Yeah. feel comfortable, you can join us. Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. 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 Please repeat after me. Om Banzar Sato Hong. Om Banzar Sato Hong. Om Banzar Sato Hong. Om Banzar Sato Hong. Okay. This is mantra of purifying mistakes. If we did any mistakes, then it's purified. It's like if you think you're a bad person, you chant this mantra, then you're not anymore a bad person. You cleaned that perception, not your action. Okay, if you killed somebody, you killed somebody. You still have to go to the prison for that. But you should not think from then on you are a killer. That moment you are a killer, but afterwards, if you clean your perception, you're not anymore a killer. So perception needs to be purified. Very, very important. Perceptions about ourselves, others, we need to purify. So this mantra is purifying perceptions. Okay. Om ye dharma hetu dabawa hetu dekenda tangato haya wande dekenzayo nirod ewan wande mahashamana yesoha. Om ye dharma hetu dabawa hetu dekenda tangato dekenzayo niroda ewan shamana yesoha. Om ye dharma hetu dabawa hetu dekenda tangato dekenzayo niroda shamana yesoha. Okay. To dedicate our practice to all sentient beings. Aita. Thank you. Thank you. So I think we have a small session for question, yeah? Okay, so if you have any questions. Yeah, run to work, yeah, Monday morning. So I'm very happy that everybody came. Thank you very much. And if you have more questions or your questions came later, you can look for me on the website. And there's CDs, physical CDs here, but digital CDs you can find on the website. And you can also find my contacts on the website. If you have questions, you can write me. And there's another website, Soriktor. It has information if you would like to visit Tibet. I organize with a few people once a year visiting Tibet. Different regions of Tibet. So if you're also interested in that, you can visit the website. And yeah, and thank you very much for coming to join us on Monday morning. And